Karyn, so we are so glad you are here. I think that our colleagues will, Pavel, will manage the computer. Now just a couple of minutes before, because these people here, they are, maybe half of them, they're different from yesterday. And I know that you are one of the stars of this conference, yes? And I know that you have planned a big seminar at home this week, but you said to us, I am coming to Wigmore, birthplace, Lithuania. I am pilgrim and I am here. And you were the first to support us with your confirmation for your come. Can you tell me, thank you very much for that, and can you tell me a couple of words, I will give the microphone, about your schedule, about what you are doing, because we try to open your presentation and then you start. Tell you a couple of words about yourself.
Hi, my name is Karyn Calabrese, and I live in Chicago, Illinois. And I run 4 vegan restaurants. I don't know if you all are familiar with vegan, meaning we have no meat, fish, chicken, or dairy in my restaurants, which is quite a feat in Chicago, which is the meat packing capital of the United States. So I have 4 restaurants. I have a wellness center. I teach people how to do detoxification programs, which I'll be speaking about today. And prior to coming, I teach classes every other month. I get anywhere from 60 to 300 people in my classes every other month. I do free information seminars. I work 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. And right before coming, 3 weeks ago, I broke my wrist in 5 places. I was operated on 3 weeks ago, and I'm here. So, thank you.
You're wonderful there.
But I want you to understand that I'm here because, to me, this is the most important thing that I do in my life. And a great deal of it began with Dr. Wigmore, who's from your country. So for me not to come and give back, when they first called and asked me to come, I said, oh, I can't possibly, I have all these classes and people signed up. And then I hung up the phone and I remembered, wait a minute, you're doing everything you do because of Dr. Wigmore. So there's no way that I couldn't come and share with her people all the benefits that I've gained from the programs that I've learned from her. So one of the things that I want to make you aware of is I don't believe there's a right or a wrong or a good or a bad or a yes or no. I believe that we are all on a specific journey, and anywhere and everywhere you are in that journey is exactly right for you. So I don't want anyone to walk away feeling bad or uncomfortable about the choices that you've made. Unfortunately, most of the choices that we've made are just what's available, and most of the information that we get on a consistent basis doesn't really serve us to heal and cleanse our bodies and change and grow and thrive in the bodies that we've been given. We've somehow been fed this bill of goods that because the axis of the world went around one more time, we're supposed to grow older, we're supposed to get tired, we're supposed to get a paunch, we're supposed to get sick. I mean, primarily everybody is whining and complaining about something. How many people do you meet and you say, hey, how you doing? And it's, I feel great. Most people have cancer, headaches, diabetes. I mean, there's something, obesity, there's something going on in your lives or touching someone close to you. And in my reality, this isn't the way we were meant to live. This is a direct product of what we've been given and how we've created the world that we're living in. This magnificent machine was not supposed to be complaining. Yes, we're supposed to get lessons about along the way, but these diagnoses that we're living with aren't supposed to be a sentence for life. They're supposed to be a wake-up call to do something different, to change your lifestyle. But unfortunately, 99% of what you're taught or what you believe or what you've grown up with isn't what's right. But the wonderful thing is, 99% of what you're doing is wrong, but you still get to wake up every day and walk around. Well, what I found is by making some changes in the things that I do and the choices that I make, my whole life has changed 1,000%. All the women in my family died overweight and very young. My mother died at 46, my grandmother died at 50, and my great-grandmother died at 60. So in reality, if you're going to go with what we believe, I shouldn't be around today. I'm 65, I don't know what illness or tiredness is. I haven't been sick in 40 years. And this 5-place break that I have, I'm out of my cast 2 weeks early. So I have no intention of being crippled by this, or they were telling me I'm going to have arthritis and all these other things. It just doesn't exist in my world because I've chosen to live in God's pharmacy. We are a self-regenerating organism. We get new cells every 7 years. We get new tissue every 3 months. The body is designed to regenerate itself. But unfortunately, we don't give it the right materials, and we give it too much of the wrong materials. So what happens? We start to age, we start to grow tired, we start to develop symptoms. But once again, these symptoms aren't coming from out here somewhere deciding to attack you or you or you. These symptoms are being developed by our internal environment. The internal environment that we're just not giving what it's supposed to have. So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas today. I know you've had wonderful information today, these past 2 days, of all these wonderful things that you can incorporate. But I'm here to tell you there's a couple of things that you could do very simply right away, even today, when you leave here today. You can make 2 simple changes that could make all the difference in the world in your life. Yes, it's about adding the good stuff, but so much of it is about stopping the stuff that isn't serving you any longer. So I mentioned in the beginning, I am a vegan, meaning I eat no meat, fish, chicken, or dairy. I haven't had any animal products for 43 years. And I know we're taught that we need animal products for strong bones and teeth, and most of the world uses animal products on a consistent basis. But also, most of the world is in a crisis. Do you know in our lifetime, 1 in 2 people will have cancer? That's every other person you know. When I was growing up, there was just an old person that every so often you met someone that had cancer. Children of today are getting cancer. They're getting the diseases of the older people. And why? It's this internal environment that we aren't addressing on a consistent basis with the right stuff. Too much of the wrong stuff. It's such a simple equation, cause and effect. That's it, cause and effect. You can have all the scientific studies in the world, but what we put in here is going to determine how we think, how we feel, how we treat each other, how we react to our environment, everything. You can't separate the two. You can't compartmentalize. You can't decide that if I put an aspirin in my body to get rid of my headache, well, the headache's gone, but that aspirin is going to affect your kidney, it's going to affect your liver. And by the way, if the headache went away because the aspirin was in there, it didn't mean your body was lacking in aspirin. We are living in such an age of chemicalization too. We're taking in chemicals upon chemicals upon chemicals, and we're just expecting the body to accept it. 90% of what you're putting in your body, God didn't intend to go in there, but you still get to get up, you still get to walk around, unfortunately, not necessarily thriving. So once again, the single worst thing that I think human beings do on a consistent basis, the single thing that you could walk away from here today and make a huge difference in your life. By the way, I don't want you to think about doing it forever, though. I want you to think about doing it in small little segments, because when we think of forever, we have a million reasons not to go there. Cow secretions, right? Cow secretions, the single worst thing that we do on a consistent basis to our bodies. And I see a few puzzled faces out there. It's your cheese, it's your yogurt, it's your ice cream, it's your butter. Anything that came from a cow was not intended to go into a human being. Humans are the only animals that consistently do cow secretions into breast milk, into adulthood. Humans are the only animals that voluntarily drink the breast milk of another animal. No other animal on our planet does that except human beings. And you're told to do it because you need to build strong bones and teeth. But guess what? Cows don't drink cat milk to get bones, strong bones and teeth, do they? They're doing greens. And I think it's totally amazing that all the animals we choose to get for protein and calcium are vegetarian animals. It's just the bizarre thinking that's in our world that we've grown up with that we think is right. We don't need cow's milk to create strong bones and teeth. I haven't had cow's milk in 43 years. I'm 65 years old. I'm not suffering from osteoporosis. By the way, that was the first thing they said when I walked into the hospital and I said my age. Oh, you must have a bone density problem. I was wearing 6-inch heels and I fell over, and a 12-year-old would have gotten 5 broken bones and 6 in the heels I fell in. So it has nothing to do with my bone density. I take a professional advanced ballet class with girls 22 and younger, and I'm 65 years old, and I'm not special. I get my calcium from the greens the same way the cow does. I get my calcium from seaweeds. I get my calcium the same way every animal is supposed to. After adulthood, we are not supposed to have breast milk. And do you know what else it does? That cow's milk is created for an animal that's meant to grow 1,000 pounds the first year of its life. So if you wonder why you're gaining weight, if you wonder why you're having problems, you're taking in a secretion that's created for an animal that's intended to grow very large very quickly. In addition, we don't have lactase in our intestines to break it down like a baby calf. We don't have 4 stomachs like a baby calf. We don't have anything like a baby calf. So why would it serve us? Why would it work for us? Because you've been marketed into believing that you need it for strong bones and teeth. The Bantu women of Africa have up to 10 babies in a lifetime. They breastfeed all of them. Osteoporosis is unheard of in that culture, and so is drinking cow secretions or goat secretions or any type of milk product from any other animal. So you know where you get your osteoporosis from? You want to know the reality of where it comes from and why I don't worry about it? You get it from caffeine and eating red meat. It leaches the good calcium out of your body with your urine. So all this caffeine that you're drinking on a consistent basis, all this red meat that you're eating, this is what's leaching the good calcium out of your bodies and creating the weaker bones. It's creating your weight gain. It's creating your skin conditions. It's creating just about everything that's going on in your body that's wrong. You could make such a huge difference. And you know the other thing that it does? It creates this excessive mucus in your digestive tract, so even if you eat properly, you're not getting the nutrients from your food. Most people are suffering from subclinical malnutrition and overeating. Everybody overeats. Everybody hold up your fist and look at it. Please, hold up your fist and look at it. This is the size of your stomach. It's a tiny little sac in here. It isn't this huge area to fill up 3, 4, 5 times a day. But eating and taking in this cow secretions on a consistent basis, you're always hungry and you're overeating. So the beauty of giving it up is you automatically start to release and get better quality from the foods you're eating, even if they aren't perfect foods. So if you were to leave today and make the commitment to yourselves to give it up for 1 week, I guarantee you, I actually make a promise that you would start to look and feel differently. You would start to see a difference. Maybe the scale wouldn't change right away, but your body shape would start to change. Oh, and yeah, you may start to sneeze and cough. You may start to feel like you're getting a cold. But guess what? That's a good thing. You're not really getting a cold. Your body's doing what it's designed to do. It's getting rid of the excessive mucus. I always say, thank God there's no cure for the common cold because everybody would be dead. That's your self-cleansing detox. That's your body getting rid of what it doesn't need. But what do? They give us chemicals. Hachu. Give me a chemical to hold it in. Oh, nausea. Give me a chemical to hold it in. Diarrhea. Give me a chemical to hold it in. There's only so much room. So you allow your body to release what it doesn't need. And if you stop doing the cow secretions, you'd be so amazed. Your body shape would start to change. Everything would start to change. Your clarity. So you may be sitting there thinking, well, I only do a little bit of cream in my coffee, right? Well, here's the deal. If I put a little bit of cream in my car, which is a fuel not intended for there, it may not break down tomorrow, but it would eventually, because I'm putting a fuel in that doesn't belong there. So all I'm suggesting is try 1 week. Just go, just some homework. 1 week, go away today and try not doing cow secretions. And I promise you, you'll get a change, a positive change that you will recognize right away. So, and by the way, don't go, well, you know what, she made sense. I'm going to give it away, give it up forever. So since I'm giving it up forever, I'll just have this little piece. Make a commitment for 1 week, and I promise you, cause and effect, there's no way it can't work. You will look, you will feel, and you will think differently. Okay? I'll ask questions about that afterwards. And you know, it doesn't have to be forever. You know, do a little dance with yourself. Learn about yourself, because I don't believe I have any more wisdom for you than you have for yourself. We all intuitively know what's right. We're born with a book teaching us how to take care of ourselves. It's called intuition. Unfortunately, we aren't taught to tap into it. We think everybody else has more answers than we do, but I'm here to tell you, you know everything that I know, you've just forgotten. So as you start to educate yourself and make the changes, you'd be so surprised how the wisdom comes to you automatically. The second thing I'm going to recommend that you do, that to me is the most important thing that I do in the world. Yes, I'm vegan. Yes, I'm a raw foodist for 30 years. Yes, I do all of these wonderful things, but I cleanse and detoxify my body a minimum of 4 times a year. A minimum. So you may say, well, if you don't eat meat, fish, sugar, dairy, you don't drink, smoke, or do drugs, you live this lifestyle, why would you need to detox your body? Well, I need to detox my body because I live in a very bizarre, chemicalized world. I have no control over the world around me, but I do have control over this, the most magnificent machine I'll ever be given, and that's where I take my control. So cleansing my body is the most important thing that I do. We have several people here that have wonderful institutes in the United States that you can visit. I teach a program out of my institute in the center, but I also have a book available that you can purchase where you can learn to detox your body. But you know what I want to say? I'm doing a commercial for myself with the book, but you know what? Mind isn't the only program. There are many roads to the top of the mountain. So if you find a book in Lithuania, or Dr. Wigmore, she's the greatest teacher, and she has a book available to you now, The Greatest Teacher of Detox. Whoever you find, this is the Holy Grail. This is the fountain of youth. This is why I enjoy the health that I do today, because I detox my body. We have 1 trillion cells that are working in there, and they're doing their jobs all the time. But unfortunately, what happens is, if they get too much of the wrong thing and not enough of the right thing, they don't regenerate. We like to think that we live off of food. You know, I had my steak today, I had my protein, or I had my cheese, I had my calcium, or even I had my sprouts, I had my protein. The reality is we don't live off of food or chunks of food. If you've got chunks of food in there, they're rotting and putrefying, and you got to question what's that doing to your system. What you do is you live off of the gases from the liquids, which is why you're supposed to chew your food until it's a liquid, and it's those gases that feed your cells. Well, if you've got a lot of stinky gases in you, this is what's feeding you. This is just rotting in your system. This is why you're aging. This is why you're tired. This is why you have no energy. And when you cleanse and detox, you break down these layers of toxicity, and the whole body is regenerated. These new cells, they get all the energy, they get to take in all the nutrients you're giving, and they serve you. Remember, you get new cells every 7 years, you get new tissue every 3 months. So the body's on an ongoing cycle of regenerating itself, but if it doesn't get the proper materials and gets too much of the wrong materials, this is how we age, this is how we grow sick. I mean, I'm supposed to be middle-aged right now, right? It doesn't compute in my reality whatsoever. The human body's meant to last a couple of 100 years. I don't want to last that long. I figure 120 is my limit. Although I may change my mind at 119, but right now I'm thinking 120 is my limit. But I want to live in good health up until the 120. I have no intention of being sick and tired and falling apart. And even buying into this middle age, you're kind of programmed into it too. I know in the United States we have all kinds of programs. You have for middle-aged people, you can ride the bus cheaper, you can get into the movies cheaper. My husband, who likes to save a dime, I promise, you never buy me a senior citizen's ticket, okay? Because that's programming me that I'm falling apart, that I'm breaking down. I don't believe it. I'm just as vital as I was at 25. I really believe it. And a lot of that has to do with the enzymatic use that I do for my body and the detoxing and cleansing. So whether you choose to buy my book, whether you go to one of the wonderful institutes, you've got Creative Health Institute, you've got Hippocrates, you've got the Ann Wigmore in Puerto Rico. We have some wonderful places in the United States. I don't know about Europe. I think there are a few over here too. Very few? Well, then start doing it at home for yourselves. Find a program. Like I said, my book is available, not in Lithuanian yet, but it has been translated into German. Okay, you'll translate. Okay, we'll make a center here. There are products to use, there are things to do, but you would be amazed what happens when you start to cleanse the body. I borrowed this picture from Victoris, this old man. It's from Victoris's book, Survival in the 21st Century, which was one of the first books I read on health in 1971. And it's really, ladies, you're going to love this because this is one of the main, I do it for health, but you'd be amazed. You literally take the clock backwards. You see the lines across our forehead, that's excessive mucus in your digestive tract. When you detox the body, you will actually see those lines start to go away. Honestly, the little squiggly line I'm sorry, I look like the little squiggly line that we get right here, this is your spleen pancreas. That's too much sugar, too much carbs. You will actually see them start to dissipate. I create that one very quickly because diabetes runs in my family. Most of the people in my family were hypoglycemic, diabetic. I should be diabetic by now. And when I get under a lot of stress, I tend to eat too much, even natural sugar, and I can watch that little line create. When you're younger, it doesn't come as fast, but at 65, I can eat too much sugar and I can watch the line appear. Under your eyes, that's your adrenals and your kidneys. That's stress, too much caffeine, eating late at night. The lines on the side of the face, these are your liver and your small intestines. The whole point of this is when you cleanse and detox, you can actually see these things reverse. You can watch the clock go backwards, which is why I love to do it. It's amazing, and I don't have to talk you into it. Just try it, and you'll see. Let's click. What's the next thing I have? Oh, that's my little target that I like to use. You see, the trillion cells, and what we do is we build up layer upon layer upon layer of toxicity around these cells. Yeah, I already talked about that. And it's those layers of toxicity. So when you cleanse, thank you. When you cleanse, you literally start to break down these layers of toxicity. Do you get through all the layers one cleanse? Absolutely not. It can take years. It can take a lifetime, depending on what your lifestyle has been to date. I've been detoxing and cleansing. I learned it from Dr. Wigmore for over 30 years now, and I still get toxicity out of my body. I still get old waste out of my body. You can have medications, you can have old fecal matter in you for 6, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. You can walk around with stuff in your system and not realize it. You know, you got a little punch, you're walking around with a little belly or a little tummy, you're full of fecal matter. We have a different saying in Chicago. So it's breaking down these layers. And as you break down these layers and you give the body the chance for regeneration, all types of wonderful things start to happen. I'm going to give you a few examples. You can go to the next one. Symptoms of cleansing. All right, well, people ask me, will it be easy? No, it won't be easy, and there are all types of things that the body can go through as it starts to detox, because we kind of start some way up here and we eat our way down here. So to get back up here, we have to go through a lot of the things that we went through to get to the negative reaction. And this is when a lot of people start to give up. I can't tell you how many people say, well, I tried not eating meat and I was tired all the time. Well, you were tired because the toxicity was re-releasing in your system and it was breaking down and you needed to help it. In our detox program, and I know a lot of them around the country, we give you things to aid in helping to minimize the symptoms of cleansing, but fatigue, chilling, bloating, mucus drainage, body odor, headaches, pain and blockage, bad breath, nausea, flu-like symptoms, rashes, gas. These are all symptoms of the body breaking down and changing back to the healthy state. Next. Oh, so it's possible for any existing challenge to become worse before it gets better, but be thankful and positive. That means it's working. When people are taking my detox classes and they come in and they go, oh my God, Karyn, I was so tired, I couldn't move today, or I was so nauseous, I was so sick, my answer is cha-ching, cha-ching, you're a winner, that means it's working. When people come into my center and they say, oh, I never get sick, unless you're living in the rainforest on a perfect diet, if your body isn't doing some kind of release, you're a time bomb, just waiting to tick off with some type of major challenge along the way. So I just wanted to give you a few examples of people through detoxing some of the things that they've achieved. This is Joette Waters. She's in her 60s. She was a vegetarian, excuse me, meaning they still eat dairy products. She was a vegetarian for 25 years. She came and did my detox class, and this is how she looked afterwards. You literally come alive. And 3/4 of my detox program is about living foods. We get to eating living foods because, oh, what a concept. Living foods, you look and feel alive. Dead foods, you look and feel dead. Joette was losing her hair. She was going bald. And I just want to emphasize, it doesn't matter what challenge you have. It doesn't matter what name you've given the challenge. From what I've seen over the thousands and thousands of people that have gone through my classes over the past 30 years, it doesn't matter where the illness or the challenge is located in your body, it can be regenerated. So her hair grew in. She doesn't wear hats anymore to hide her hair. Let's go to the next one. That's just showing more of how her hair grew in. Next one. This is Kimberly, and she's very interesting because when she started my detox class, she was on about 12 different medications. She's diabetic, and after the first detox class, she removed 10 of her medications, and she was down to 4. She's done the class now 5 times, and I want to emphasize that one detox is not enough. People come quite often and say, oh yeah, I detoxed 2 years ago or 10 years ago or once. Once is not enough, especially if you're challenged. Let's look at her. After 4 detoxes, she is now free of all medication. Next one. And she is out of the diabetic range with her doctor. We have her letter from her doctor now saying she's no longer diabetic. Next one. This is Darlene. We all are concerned with weight gain. This was at the beginning of class. This is in my center. At the end of 28 days, this is how she looked. You can affect such a change in such a short period of time because the body is so willing to support you. It wants to thrive. It doesn't just want to survive. It wants to thrive. And it's amazing. People are so frightened of giving up habits and things they're used to. But it's amazing. Once you get started, it's like getting on those moving pathways at the airport. You step on, and the universe and everything supports you, and it really isn't that difficult. Can we go to the next one? Oh, she's a medical student. She just graduated. When I show these pictures in my classes, everybody wants to give me their pictures nowadays. But this was 30 short days. She just graduated medical school, and in 30 days, I think she lost something like 17 pounds. But it just wasn't the weight. It was how her whole body shape shifted and changed. We'll get through these very quick. And the next one, John, another guy, took the class, lost the weight. But the most dramatic is Memory Knox. Memory was a large girl her entire life. She ate well, she did the best she could. Well, she decided to do the detox, and she's kind of obsessive compulsive like me, so she did the detox every other month for 8 months. And at the end of 8 months, this is how she looked. She's now my size. So when people tell me they can't lose weight or they can't change this, all I say is detox your body, and you may need more detoxification than others. These are, I don't want to turn into a commercial for me, but these are some of the products that I have developed with Victoris. Victoris helped me develop a lot of my products for my detox program. And you know, you can use my products. We ship all over the world, but you can find duplicates here. You don't have to use my products. I mean, you got stuff right here. You don't have to use specific things. You'd be amazed how well the body will support you, even if you just give up the dairy, as I mentioned. These are products that I have and that I use. Can we go to the next? Oh, what is this? Oh, that's a picture of my health center. I guess I'm just kind of showing off here. We don't need to go there. These are some of my foods. All right, back to the detoxing and cleansing. We'll get to the foods in a minute. So for me, cleansing and detoxing the body is the most important thing that you can do in your lifetime to affect change, to affect health, to keep your health, to keep your clarity. And do you know what I hear when people take my classes? At the end of class, it isn't about being perfect. It isn't about being a vegan or a vegetarian or a raw foodist. You know what it's about? It's about feeling self-empowered. That's the most important thing, is feeling self-empowered and falling in love with yourself again. That's the main thing people get when they detox and cleanse, is the self-empowerment and falling in love with yourself again. And guess what? When you're in love with yourself, it's a little hard to be bad to you. But you don't just automatically go from A to Z overnight. You have tapes that have been playing for a lifetime. And these tapes call for the negativity. So one of the main tenets I teach in my class and in my book, I have 3 rules to follow. You can't judge yourself. Number 1, you can't judge yourself in what you're doing. You just keep putting one foot in front of the next each day and do the best that you can and make a commitment to do something better for yourself each day. You have to make yourself number 1 with your money, your time, and everything else that you have, because here's the deal. If you don't have your health, nothing works. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how great your children, your spouse, your home, your life. If you have your health, you have nothing. So it really pays to make yourself number 1. I'm the most selfish person on the planet. Ask my husband. But because I take care of myself and I do that, I'm able to help thousands and thousands of people because I put all my time, all of my energy into me and my money into me. And it's a domino effect. You do this and you start to affect everybody and everything around you. So cleanse and detox. Give up the cow secretions. Try it for a week even. And I promise you, I guarantee you, and I don't know too many things in life that you can get guarantees. I guarantee you, you will think, you will feel, you will look different than you ever imagined. And you know why I can be so positive? I have the best business partner on the planet, God. Because all I'm suggesting you do is that you step back into His plan and His program, and there's no way that it can't work. How am I on time? I have 10, 12 minutes, so I'm real quick going to just touch on the animal products, because we're talking a lot about living foods, but everybody isn't ready to leave here and be a raw foodist or living foods. Yes, you can incorporate more of the living foods, but you know, the 4-legged animals that you're eating, the 2-legged animals that you're eating, we don't really need them. It's not a natural human instinct to eat dead flesh. It's a learned experience. And I know you're sitting there thinking, I've eaten it all my life, and everybody does it, and man has always eaten animals, but man has always robbed and killed and raped and done a lot of other things that weren't necessary either. So I'm here to say, if you were to give up the animals, you would also see a huge difference. Just try it for a week. Just try it for 2 weeks. You won't fall apart. You won't be lacking in protein. Like I said in the beginning, all the animals that we eat for protein and calcium are vegetarian animals. So we're getting it third hand, this dense product that really doesn't serve us. We don't have short intestines like a carnivorous animal where you get it in and get it out. We have about 5 feet of colon in there. That was that other colon picture, but that was okay. We have about 5 feet of colon, and all this toxic, rotting, putrid matter has to pass through your colon. You wonder why you stink? You wonder why you smell? It's the rotting, putrefying animals, dead animals in there. I know it's a reality. I don't wear deodorant. I don't even need harsh soaps. I don't need chemicals in my armpits where my lymph nodes are. I don't have to spray mercury and all these chemicals in there because I stink. You stink because you're walking around like little pet cemeteries, all those dead animals in there, you know? So we have the picture of the colon. You got 5 feet of colon in there, and your colon doesn't even look like the one in the middle in there. It looks like these charts on the side. It's all twisted and turned. So it's not serving you. So how can I prove to you that it's not a natural human instinct to eat dead flesh? Well, let's pretend you're on a dead island, a desert island, a dead island. You're on a desert island, and you haven't eaten in 2 weeks, and you've got my dog with you, who's an omnivore, and my cat, who's a true carnivore, and you, a fruitarian. And you haven't eaten in 2 weeks, and a dead cow floats up on the island and a bushel of apples. Where do you think your instincts would take you? My cat is going to run right to that dead cow and start chewing on its eyes and its nose and its fingers, and it's not going to have any ick factor with the blood. It's going to think it's the most wonderful thing it's ever eaten. My dog's going to eat the dead cow and the apples. And where do you think your instincts are going to take you? Well, maybe after a few months you might start gnawing on the cow too. But initially your instincts are going to take you to the apples. This is how humans were intended to eat. We weren't meant to eat all this dead flesh. Howard Lyman speaks of it in his book. They did an autopsy on John Wayne. They found 75 pounds of fecal matter in him. 75 pounds of crap. Most of you are walking around with 6 to 30 pounds of crap in you. This is your bad breath. This is your stinky armpits. This is all the stuff coming out of your system. So you don't necessarily have to be a vegan like I recommend, but you could certainly give up some of it. You don't have to have it every meal 3 times a day, all day, every day. You could certainly make a change. You know, in the early 1800s, the only people that died of heart disease were the rich people because they were the only ones that could afford to eat it all the time. Well, you're just walking time bombs for heart disease. The first symptom of a heart disease is what? When you have it. So constantly taking in all this animal protein, you're just setting yourselves up. So you know what? Maybe you're not ready to be a vegan or a raw foodist. Give up some of it. Skip a meal. Skip a day. The movie that came out, what was it, Food Inc., I don't know if it's been translated here, they gave the example that when the Germans invaded Poland, and this is Dr. Campbell and some of the other doctors, when they invaded Poland, they seized all the animals and the heart disease went down. After the war, they got their animals back and the heart disease went back up. So what I'm just recommending, yes, I would love for you all to be raw food vegans and live on sprouts, but that isn't for everybody in this moment. Just make some changes that can work for you in this moment and continue to move forward. Don't put a ceiling. Don't stop. I didn't become a raw foodist overnight. I didn't become a vegan overnight. I had a process. No other endeavor in our lives do we expect to hear it once and do it except nutrition and lifestyle change. Right? You don't hear a lecture on math once and you're a mathematician, or a piano and you're a pianist. It is a process, so allow yourselves the process, but continue to educate yourselves, continue to make changes, continue to realize that the myths you're living with aren't serving you. If you're not feeling good, it's not coming from the sky somewhere, it's directly related to what you're doing on a consistent basis, and you have the control to change that. So I'd like to end all my lectures with reminding people that if you don't take care of this, the most magnificent machine you'll ever be given, where are you going to live? Thank you.
Thank you, Karyn, so much. Thank you for coming. You are such a wonderful person here. And I would like to ask auditorium for questions. So it's your time. Nagi klausimai, prašau, kas turite klausimų? Are there any plants which conflict with each other?
Are there any plants that conflict with each other? Not to my knowledge, no. I know there's a big deal about food combining, but Dr. Wigmore had once told me that she felt most of the food combining was relating to people eating meat, fish, and potatoes and things like that. I've never found a problem. A lot of people do have a problem when they start eating raw foods or they start detoxing, and this is where blended foods can help you in doing it at a slower pace.
Ten klausimas buvo. What are the methods of detoxification you use? Tell a couple of words.
Oh, well, we do colon therapy, and I know that can be a big no-no for some people, but I'm big on saying what goes in must come out, and if it didn't, where did it go? And most people are not eliminating enough. You know, if you're going to the bathroom once a day and eating 3 times a day, you're in trouble. If you're going to the bathroom every other day and eating 3-5 times a day, you're in big trouble, and so on. So we do use colon therapy. We use certain herbs, like we use fenugreek seed to balance blood sugar levels. We use lots of chlorophyll to help purify the blood. You know, chlorophyll is like liquid sunshine to the bloodstream. We do some fasting for those that are ready. We fast anywhere from 3 days or more. I regularly fast 4 times a year. I think it's very important. And when we do my class and the way my book is structured, each week you take out some things and you add some stuff. So it's kind of like a back and forth. And I have 5 doctors that have given me testimonials for my book. I have many doctors that send their patients to take my classes. And one of the things that they all stress is it's not about just breaking down, it's building up at the same time. Can I answer?
Прошу. And I will add a little bit. When you become a raw food eater, and you eat more fruit, we have an opinion that sometimes you don't need to drink.
When
Is
you're,
it true or
when
not?
you're eating living foods, you don't need to drink as much because you're getting organic water from the fruits and vegetables. Cucumbers are 90% organic water. Watermelons are organic water. So you don't need to do as much. I know that there are a lot of tables out there about the amounts of water that people should drink every day. First of all, I'm very big on structured water and purified water. So I don't drink regular tap water. I don't know if the water is any better here in Lithuania. In the United States, it's terrible. It has all kinds of chemicals in it.
Our major said that we in Vilnius we have one of the best waters
Really?
in the world in
Oh.
European capitals. So we have the best water in all the cities in Europe.
Then you can drink your water. We can't drink our water in the United States. You know, I tend to stay away from tables from people because I know there are tables about you should, for this amount of weight, you should drink this amount of water, or you need 8 glasses of water today. I tend to stay away from telling people exactly how much they do because I want people to tap into their own intuition. And if you start changing and making changes, you realize when you're thirsty, you realize that you do need to be drinking water. It's more of an organic process instead of following someone else's charts, because I do believe you can drink too much and kind of affect the kidneys too with drinking someone else's table of what they think you should do considered by your body weight and all.
Okay, this is the question.
Certainly more water than coffee and tea, plain water. Yeah, that just shows you how strong the marketing world has come from the animal lobbyist as opposed to the greens. I'm aware that people do feel that way, and what you have to do, what I tell people in those circumstances, I don't know if you're teaching, but you can start out in small amounts, and once again, it's educating. You know, Victor has wonderful books. You have wonderful books by Dr. Ann that give the scientific data and research, because in reality, even the American Cancer Society in Chicago, in the United States, says that too much animal protein creates cancer in the system. So the data is out there. The education just has to be done here in Lithuania, and hopefully you'll be one to help educate your people about that.
Taigi, ar dar kokių klausimų? Taip, prašau. Every time we get questions, young mothers, they say, we have to nourish our children. How should we start nourishing them green? They don't want to eat greens. They don't want to drink water. The same, my daughter, I have raised 3 children. I have also the same questions, so many questions from the mothers, pregnant mothers, yesterday. They say, can they become raw eaters when they are pregnant? How to start children feeding?
Well, first of all, if you were to start it while you were pregnant, would be a great way to get the child started, because they're eating what you're eating and they're learning to eat from what you eat. Getting the children to eat green foods, once again, it would help if they didn't start with the animal products right away, because the animal products kind of coat and create a need in the system for those kind of fats and those kind of foods. I have young mothers that have started their children on wheatgrass very young, and they come in, they drink the wheatgrass, they don't offer it to the children, and pretty soon the children are begging the mothers for the wheatgrass. They go, like. So I think a lot has to do with what you're eating. I think it's important not to shove things in your children's face and say, here, eat this, it's healthy. One of the ways I get children to do things when they come into my restaurant, because food is all about control with children too. And one of the things I do with young children is I'll say, you know what, if you want to give that a try, here's a napkin, you can spit it out in my hand if you don't like it. So it's introducing it in a way where they feel in control. I think as Steve Meyerwood said, helping them participate in the growth of sprouts in the kitchen. When I teach children's classes, I teach them how to make nut milks. We actually take nut sprouting bags and we squeeze like we're milking a cow, the more involved they get. But I think it's so important not to push, this is healthy food, this is healthy food, this is healthy food. It's just a way of life in your house, because the more you say it's healthy, the more they're going to rebel. I mean, my daughter, who's 41, has been vegan her entire life, and I still don't say, here, try this, it's good for you, because she won't eat it.
Okay. Questions? Jūs jau klausėte, aš atsiprašau, daugiau. When you clean the body, you wash out the good bacteria and the bad bacteria together. How you rebuild the good bacteria?
Yeah, well, we are rebuilding the good bacteria with the wheatgrass. We are doing living foods through my detoxification program. We are doing probiotics. We're drinking drinks. Dr. Wigmore taught us a drink called Rejuvelac, which is also a B12 product, and it's the good bacteria. So we are putting things in as well as taking out at the same time. And I have the instructions and the recipes for all of these things in my book. Also on my website, I have YouTube channels up of how to make all of this stuff for free. You can just go to my channels and you can figure out how to make it in your homes very simply. So we aren't just tearing down, we're building up at the same time.
I can tell you that if you go to sveikata.org website, you will see the program of this conference, and you will see the website addresses of all our guests here, including Karyn, so you can look at. I hope we will try to publish your book in Lithuanian language. We'll start a program of publishing the books here and trying to do everything is on economical basis. How can we manage that? But we hope that God will help us.
I'm sure He will, because you're asking.
Toliau klausimai, gal iš tos pusės žmonės, aš kažkaip, jūs gal iš toli prašau, nes pametam žmonės. Do you know Kangen water? The word Kangen water in US, do you use such a...
Honey and water?
Kangen. And in detoxification, structuring water, what is your opinion about structuring water?
Structuring water, you know, you could even take a blade of wheatgrass and put in there, and it would help remove toxicity and add to the water. So anything you add to the water, you could add cucumber to the water, you could add lemon to the water, which would help detoxify the liver. I have a lot of these suggestions on my website and in the book. What was the second part of the question?
It's like whether you use like...
Oh, honey and water.
Honey and water.
Honey is kind of controversial. In some people, well, most of the sugars except for stevia react in the body the same way, especially if you're sugar sensitive like myself. But it's certainly a transition, and I'm very big on transitions for people. Just like I don't use soy milk, but I believe it would be a great transition to go from cow's milk to soy milk and then nut milk, if that's what works for you. So honey is a great transitional food, but you know, we eat way too much sugar consistently anyway. I was invited to Hollywood this past January. They're doing a documentary on sugar, and I reread a book I hadn't read in years, and I'll tell you, we're supposed to have a pinch of sugar, maybe a year. So we're all doing way too much sugar, even natural sugar. So, but I think it's a wonderful transition. You know, I think it's beneficial rather than using white sugar.
Iš tiesų dar vienas klausimas, Karyn. Taip, prašau. can be the detoxification program unified for everybody, or you personalize that?
I do a unified program for everybody. We all have a couple, you know, everybody is at different stages and everybody gets different results, which is why you have to continue doing it. But my program is pretty universal for everybody. I even have people with wheat allergies take it and don't have a problem with celiac disease and stuff. So it's a general one for everyone.
How many people do you usually have in your detoxification?
My classes, I get anywhere from 90 to 300 people every other month.
How many times a year you make?
I do it every other month. I'm supposed to be there doing it right now.
Yes, I know you canceled 300
and I canceled
people
it to come here, and because I was so excited to come here and honor Dr. Ann Wigmore, who's responsible for what I do, and how I live, and how I think, and how I feel.
One more question, young lady. People lose weight when they detoxify. But this lady said she has lower weight than necessary, and there are a lot of people here who have already developed themselves and they have less weight than, and they are afraid that when detoxifying they lose more.
I can certainly sympathize with you. When I first started detoxing, when I would go to one of Ann Wigmore's centers, I would look like I was from Biafra when I was done, because I was thin to begin with, and I would get so skinny that people were uncomfortable. I was accused of being anorexic and all kinds of things. But what happened is, over the years of detoxifying, nothing really changes anymore, because you're literally just losing the poisons. And once you finish detoxing, your body weight will equalize itself. I used to go on very long fast, and I can tell you really a miraculous thing. A couple of years ago, I was fasting, and I did 10 days of juices, and then I went to water and wheatgrass, and on the 17th day, I put on a pound. And then I started to put on weight until my weight went natural. I very often call Victor and I say, Victor, you know, I'm fasting and nothing's happening. He said, well, your body has learned to operate very efficiently on a lot less food. So yes, you will initially get too thin, and a lot of men worry about that. But after your body finishes cleansing and you start eating the living foods, your weight will stabilize.
Thank you very much, Karyn. Thank you very much.
So much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Karyn. You are fantastic. Thank you for coming.
You want to walk me?